As 2020 approaches, so does a new generation of consoles. Sony is looking to build on its recent success, and Microsoft is coming back with a huge chip on its shoulder. Can the Xbox come back from this deficit like LeBron did back in 2016?
I gave everything that I had.
Or will PlayStation stay on top? Today at The Gamer, we're breaking down the console battle that will define the next decade.
This is for you!
So next fall or holiday season, we'll be getting the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Project Scarlett. Which one will be better? Well, they're promising, for the most part, pretty similar things, so to tease the devil out of the details, we'll go through each promise one by one and see who's got who beat. Just like the Stadia failed to deliver on 4K, the new generation of consoles will probably not be able to actually give you 8K resolution. Why? This has nothing to do with the consoles themselves, it's the TVs. I looked around online for an 8K screen and the cheapest I could find was $3,500. That is a lot of money, about 10 times the price of a console. Not to mention the fact that most people who have 4K TVs probably just bought them and are not excited about the idea of upgrading. Also, do you really notice the difference between 4K and 8K? Maybe it's the price tag that makes it look better, like an expensive wine. Or maybe some people are just more refined and need that 7,680 by 4,320 pixels. VR is apparently the future of gaming and maybe even of human interaction in general. So let's take a look at how the PS5 and the Project Scarlett are implementing our immersive virtual futures. In short, the Project Scarlett is not. They haven't announced a single thing about VR on the Xbox 2, and it doesn't seem like they will. When asked about it, they even express a general dislike of VR. Phil Spencer, the VP of Gaming at Microsoft, said, "I have some issues with VR. It's isolating, and I think of games as a communal kind of together experience. We're responding to what our customers are asking for, and nobody's asking for VR. The vast majority of our customers know if they want a VR experience, there's places to go to get those. We see the volumes of those on PC and other places." One of those other places is the PlayStation 5. The PS4 has supported VR for years now, and has even had some genuinely good VR games, like Superhot. But those haven't exactly been what Spencer calls a together experience. But if the recent leaks of some Sony patent applications are any indication, that is about to change. The documents illustrate and describe a little robot that looks like Wall-E, who will presumably be your VR friend. When you move, your robot friend will move with you along two intersecting rails, recording you with his little robot eye cameras. This setup is apparently somehow related to inserting you into other players' VR worlds and vice versa. And you can probably imagine the endless and horrifying possibilities this presents. For the past few console generations, Sony and Microsoft have been cheating. Instead of releasing one be-all, end-all version of their hardware, they've been splitting the console cycle into two parts. For Xbox, it was the S and the X, and for the PS4, it was the Pro. Will they continue this unfortunate trend in the next gen? Absolutely. Over at Xbox, they've already been releasing information about the two versions of the Scarlett. The discount option is called the Lockhart. No relation, and it'll have 4 teraflops of computing power, which is less than the Xbox One X. It will also include the futuristic feature of having no disk drive. Then there's the Anaconda, which is hopefully just a code name. That's like naming your console the Magnum or Big Daddy. This one will have double the computing power of the X, clocking in at 12 teraflops. It will also have a disk drive, and it will also probably be very expensive. Sony, for their part, is being cagey about whether they will release different editions of the PlayStation 5. Specifically, they said that in the past, the cycle for a new platform was 7 to 10 years. But in view of the very rapid development and evolution of technology, it's really a 6 to 7 year platform cycle. That's why they made the Pro. But they're thinking a little differently for this generation because they cannot fully catch up with the rapid development of the technology. They might just release the PlayStation 6 a few years sooner, instead of re-releasing a slightly more powerful version of the 5. They said that our thinking is that as far as a platform is concerned for the PS5, it's a cycle of maybe 6 to 7 years. But doing that, a platform lifecycle, we should be able to change hardware itself and try to incorporate advancements in technology. That was the thinking behind it. And the test case of that thinking was the PS4 Pro that launched in the midway of the PS4 lifecycle. So the PS4 Pro was just a test for their new strategy then? Will we be getting the PS6 in 2025? But talking about individual games, that is so this generation. The future of gaming is apparently all about streaming and of course, the cloud. So who's got the better streaming service? Sony's has actually been around for years at this point, but you would be forgiven for not having heard all that much about it. While Sony has sold more than 100 million PS4s, their PlayStation Now streaming service only has around 1 million subscribers as of October. A large part of the lukewarm response can be chalked up to the service's bumpy launch. There's also the fact that PS Now only works on your PS4 and your PC. Pretty much the only draw of cloud gaming, especially for people who already have a console or a good gaming PC, is the ability to play big games with small hardware, like playing God of War on the bus, for example. That's where Xbox comes in. As their website says, there are 2 ways to stream. You can use your console or just your Android phone. Microsoft is betting that the imminent transition to 5G will make streaming a visual marvel like Gears 5 a piece of cake. The consensus of people who've tried the preview is that overall, it's pretty good. It's relatively cheap, and it's got more than 50 games so far. PS Now, on the other hand, has more than 800, which is like a lifetime supply. No matter how many teraflops these consoles have or how solid of a state their drives are in, the console gamers of the world aren't going to be deciding where to spend their hundreds based on dry technical stats. The biggest selling point of any console is its exclusive games. What will the next gen exclusives be? There's not much in the way of official announcements just yet, but we can make some educated guesses. Let's start with the Xbox. They have announced one game coming from their in-house studio 343 Industries, Halo Infinite. This is the only game we've seen footage from, and it looks like a Halo game, which isn't a bad thing because every Halo game has been pretty good. Although we could moan and groan about yet another sequel, this one will have animals in it. Then there's Forza and its more arcadey spin-off, Forza Horizon. Every big console needs its own marquee racing game, so both of these are all but guaranteed for the next generation of Xbox. As for Gears of War, the 5th or technically 6th installment just came out on Xbox One, so we'll probably have to wait at least a year or 2 into Project Scarlett's life cycle before we get another one. But make no mistake, we definitely will. On the weirder side of things is D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die. This is the kind of game where you play it all the way through and remain just as confused as the moment you saw the trailer. In a good way. You can't tell if the voice acting is boundary pushing and refreshing or just plain bad.
Everything shipshape?
I'm tired. I was about to go to sleep.
Sleep?
Either way, the game itself is unlike any other on Xbox, and considering the fact that it's an in-house Microsoft title, we'll probably be getting a next-gen version, and just imagine what Access games could do with the more powerful console. On the PS5, we'll also be getting a bunch of sequels. Let's start with the most predictable. Even though Nathan Drake technically retired at the end of Uncharted 4, this series is way too much of a cash cow to be cut short at only number 4. Plus, they've already set up a tidy torch passing with the last game's epilogue. There will also no doubt be more sequels in store for The Last of Us, even though the second installment of the story-driven horror game is coming out in late February on the PS4. God of War will most definitely be coming back, as well as the Spider-Man game that has been eating Xbox owners with regret ever since it came out. The spiritual trilogy of Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Last Guardian will also, hopefully, get another non-sequel installment. And for those of you who find beauty in punishing yourselves, From Software will probably be putting out another skill and will testing game, although when is not exactly certain. Launched with only 22 games. Both of their competitor in the streaming world, the Google Stadia, launched with only 22 games, which you have to pay for individually on top of your monthly fee for 4K, which the system doesn't even really support. But Microsoft and Sony threatened by Google's foray into gaming, have teamed up to blow it out of the water. They announced that along with collaborating on AI, they will also share all the cloud gaming secrets they've each been storing up. So although PS Now and xCloud will look different and maybe have different games, they'll be underpinned by a lot of the same tech, kind of like a Ford and a Mazda, or Toyotas and Lexuses, or Lexera. So in short, there's no clear winner, but you can bet that the unsteady drip of leaks we've got so far will turn into some more concrete announcements soon. Until then, place your bets in the comments. Which console will dominate the 20s? And also don't forget to subscribe to The Gamer for all the latest on Project Scarlett and the PlayStation 5.